let's go.
Yeah.
Welcome to this breakout session on turning audience into participants. I'm so happy to see you guys. My name is Jon Forsell and I'm from Sweden. So if anything that I say comes across as rude, or perhaps that you don't agree, it's all on the fact that English is my second language. If you do not understand the greatness of this, it's all a cultural thing, okay? I'm just kidding. Now, we'll be doing this for the next 1 hour and 15 minutes. I am a behavioral scientist. This means that I am an expert on how knowledge is created and what happens with that knowledge when we use it. This knowledge is shaped through interaction, which is why I do what I do. Now, I travel around mostly Sweden and help management teams and companies to empower relations so that they can work smarter together. Employees and leaders need to be closer to work better together. And I also do a bit of myth busting on motivation, productivity, leadership, team development, and creativity. And I'm going to ask you guys to play along for a while. And can we say that we are corporate Inc? Like we're one company, and I'm here to help you guys to empower your relations. Is that fine? Okay, cool. We'll just do this for a short while. Okay. Then I'd be here talking about me being a behavioral scientist, helping companies grow and be better. But this is not about me. This is about you. It is all about you. I want to know what you guys feel, think, and know on the subjects that I'm talking about. Now, for today's demo, that will be 2 questions. Most of you guys, I hope, have logged on to the Happy Bear Wi-Fi and entered the web address happybear.se/NSA18. If not, please do so now. There are a couple of questions in your phones that I want you to answer, and you do this at your own pace. Now, this means that you answer the questions, and then when you're done, you click Next. And there's a little next arrow on the top of your screens. There are sliders on one of the questions. That means that you drag and drop the slider and pull it to your preferred answer, and then you scroll down to find all the answers, and then you click Submit. Okay? We'll listen to some music while you do that. I'll allow it for 2 or 3 minutes, maybe. Oops. And remember, I'm not polling you. This is a demo, so don't spend all of your brain power on this. Thank you. Okay, so I can see that I have 27 out of 72 logged in participants that have completed those 2 questions. We're going to wait for the rest of you guys, if you want to. Yes, just first. And it said stop, and then you're done, right? So you click next, and then go, and it says, well done. Please hold on.
I got to submit?
Yeah, and then you submit and click next. Yep. Great, 62 of you out of 74, so I'm going to allow for maybe a couple more seconds on that, and then we'll move on. Okay, there will be another chance at trying the interactive stuff later, okay? Because this is just as I said, a demo on what I do. And I will close the questions for you now. There you go. As I said, this is all about you. What I do is that I poll the audience live at the beginning of my talk, and then I spend it analyzing the results that I get, comparing to science on a meta-study level or best practice level. This means that I'm pretty clear on when it's science, and when it's stories, and when it's my opinion. Oops, my opinion. Did you guys wake up?
Yes.
So let's take a look at your result. First of all, let's see who's here. 62% speakers, 14% facilitators, 10% consultants, and 14.3 others. Welcome. This, of course, could be any group, right? You get that. Good. So I don't have to say that. This is not a fixed tool. I've put in what I want. Okay, cool. Thanks. So let's see what your answers are on the questions. We perform better when. Now you did those sliders, right? You clicked submit. And as we can see, you're pretty much, in the middle of this, which means that you either don't have a strong opinion or you feel that it's either way. Could be that you're all in the middle, but this doesn't make much sense, does it? I mean, what can we do about this? So let's look at the distribution. Imagine that you guys now are in corporate Inc. These are your ideas. Let's look at the top question, for instance. These are your ideas on how to be more productive. You are very diverse on that question. Doesn't really mean that you're right or wrong all the time, but it does mean that from a science standpoint, I would say neuroscience, John Molitor is in the room, this is scary, but still, neuroscience says that cognitive skills work better when we feel at peace. As speakers, we put ourselves under pressure. We may feel that we perform better under pressure, but again, science would suggest the feeling of arousal does not necessarily equal quality. If I'm wrong on anything, John, please correct me afterwards. You can see the idea that I'm doing this on, for rewards, for appraisal, right? And the power of showing the distribution is what I claim is the big thing. I asked you guys what stops you from being productive. 36% of you claim that you don't have the time you need, 21% lack the resources, 30% of you multitask. I mean, it's not that bad, but still, a third of you. Now, let's have some fun with this, because this might not be true for all of you in here. So let's see if there's a difference between you guys. There we go. There are results for the 4 different groups that you log on. So speakers, let's see whose consultants are good at not multitasking. That's because they bill by the hour. Let it sink in, it's fun. Okay, it wasn't fun. But you can see, so consultants, for instance, are good. Not many of them multitask. You can see the time is a bigger issue for them and so on. And I'm just giving you guys an example of this. We don't need to deep dive into these stats because they are, of course, just, an example. And as I said, I just want to give you guys a short idea on what I do more on this. These are actual results from when I ask about when teams perform better. Again, you can see the diversity. This is American Managed team that I did last Tuesday. They do not agree on how to run a good meeting. They do not agree on the idea on whether a team should adapt to the individual or the other way around. So that makes for good conversation pieces, right? That is addressed situations that they need to address. Now what I do as well is that I do this on leadership as well. Let's leave that for now. What I do is that since I base this on pretty solid meta-science, I can score the opinions. I can score the attitudes, and I can say that one attitude is more beneficial than the other. In the case of the individual adapt to the team, whether the team adapts to the individual, my claim is that science would say that high-performance teams make sure that everybody partakes in the talks about the topics that they address. They make sure that Bruce and Lisa and whoever actually get to say their part. They do not wait for someone to tell them what to do. Again, you can put this in a storytelling context. Steve Jobs, sorry for quoting dead white guys, said, "We do not hire smart people and tell them what to do. We hire smart people so they can tell us what to do." That's that right there. Now, I put all those stats together, and as I said, I ask about 40 questions when I do my original talk. So I can summarize an individual score and compare it to the group score. So each individual gets an automated, personalized result email where I tell them that when you guys talk about, for instance, leadership, the next time you can contribute to your team growth by comparing the individual high score to the team low average. Then vice versa when it comes to the listen part. This is where your team can help you to develop and learn team low score. Next time you talk about, for instance, creativity, you guys need to be cognizant of the fact that you are not superstars at innovation. Why is this? To create reflection, to create interaction that is about, how is this working for you? Are we doing the right things? Do you feel that this is a good way of taking this company forward? So that's what I do. But here I am stating at the beginning that the talk is all about you, and here I'm talking about me. Isn't that strange? I'm sorry, I'm going to try not to do that again. Because it is all about you. So I'm going to talk about interactivity from a speaker's perspective. Welcome those of you who arrived a little late. Please log on to the Wi-Fi Happy Bear. Good, well done there. And then go to the website happybear.se/NSA. There are a set of NSAT, true. There are a set of questions in your mobile phones right now. The sliders again. Drag the slider to whatever answer you prefer. Scroll down, click submit. There are a few more questions this time. This is about interactivity as a speaker. This will help me shape my talk based on your knowledge, attitude, feelings, and ideas on what I do. So please take a couple of minutes to answer those questions to increase the quality of the talk. There's nothing lower on the help you part, no. You'll just have to
No negative images?
No. Sorry about that. Did you go all the way to the business matrix and then to the... If you could submit in the next, there are more questions than that. Yeah. There are a couple of questions. It ends with a matrix and then it says, "Well done, the fun will continue shortly." Oh, okay. Yeah, speaking business, sorry about that. Yeah, so when you reach the matrix, if you have a small screen, it's speaking business on one side and speaking skills on the other, right? Okay, good. So that's 33 of you, roughly half, that has answered the final question on those. So we'll let you guys do that for a little while more. Okay, good. So that's 52 out of almost 80. So can I ask you guys that are still doing it, please move through it quickly. guys ready for me to move on?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Oh, are you happy about the little messages that I gave you? See, it's a way of building rapport with your audience as well. You can write stuff that makes people happy. I usually tell people to give each other a smile. Then later on in the events, I say, tap your neighbor on the shoulder and say, you're beautiful. Because sometimes, you sit next to someone that you have no idea who she is, and all of a sudden you get a tap on the shoulder and they're like, you're beautiful. I've never seen you before. And then 3 slides later, you get why. Oh, that was just distraction. You don't think I'm good. So, okay. We're going to talk about digital interactivity from a speaker's perspective. Now, I'm going to do that. I'm going to show you guys the disposition for this, because I imagine there may be many questions later on. This is what I'm going to try to do. We've done the demo. Now I'm going to talk about how to do this, about content and platform skills, then how tech, then the business side, and then hopefully time for some Q&A, okay? Just so you know what I'll be talking about. It might be that I kind of try to move through it fast to have time for a Q&A. And where were we at? There we are. Okay. So, oh wow. These are your answers on the business, speaking business, understanding of the speaking business, and the speaking skills impact matrix. Okay, so this tells me that you're smart. You consider yourselves understanding both the platform aspect of it and the business side of it. But there are a lot of you guys right in the middle, so we're going to pay attention to.
So if we put it in the bottom left, does that mean we're done?
Yeah, you can go. No, sorry, is that you're done as in?
So those are smart. Now I'm thinking if we're over there, it means we're done. So
No, it's not. Oh, sorry, not you. Oh, sorry, I did not. That was again. This English is my second language. This is a culture thing.
I'm getting shots from both sides here. So
I'm sorry. Moving on. I understand how to build and run interactive tools. Now, number 10 was come up and help me run the show, and number 1 is help me. So as we can see there, I mean, you have some idea. About 14, 20, about 35% of you are from 5 and up, which means that this is not the first time that you've encountered it. But 19 and a lot of others, maybe 67. I'm a behavioral scientist. I'm not a math genius. So we'll be talking about tech, but this is good information for me. See, this is how it works. I adapt my speech, my disposition, and my content to your needs. Do you understand whether this helps create dynamics, talks, relevant content, and increased learning? Again, you're pretty diverse on that as a group, but you tend to lean at least towards the I do have a hunch kind of thing. Okay, so that's cool. You do understand how it can help create relevant content, I would say. However, there are a few of you out there that still are a bit confused. Now, I saw some people leave, so that might be them. And you can see how it increases learning. So, based on this, I will pay more attention to the how talks become dynamic, how it shapes content, but not so much about the learning part, because you're pretty much figured out on that, okay? Now, if you were a normal group, normal team that I do this with, I would say, okay, so I can tell there are a few of you that are yet to learn, that feel that you have a lot to learn on this. Your colleagues know this very well. Ask them. See? So that's a way of shaping the interaction within the organization as well. Okay, cool. So, does it help create dynamic talks? Well, as you're perhaps beginning to understand, it does. Truly, it does. I can, based on these answers, shape this to be more relevant to you. Dynamic can also be more fun, like as in, haha, the consultants do this, you know? And it can also be dead serious. I asked a question in my keynote, whether you feel that you see the fruits of your labor on a regular basis. And when there are people giving that a 1 and a 2 on a 10-grade scale, I need to address that. I cannot let that go. So dynamic is more fun and more to the point. Sometimes this brings up points that really hurt the audience. So in that case, it does do it more dynamic. It also forces me to cover multiple scenarios, which I also claim is a dynamic thing. I mean, if as of now, we'll be spending a little more time on tech and a little less on learning. So in that way, I call that dynamics as well. Relevant content is pretty much the same thing. The content becomes really relevant because you guys tell me what you need to know. And the learning is about the Socrates level model of interaction. I ask you, you tell me, I give you my views. And then you guys take it from there. Unless I provide training. It means less guessing. You can base storytelling on audience facts. 75% of you in this room feel this way, as opposed to 65% of a Gallup survey. It means that we create greater value through more customized relevance. And it means increased learning through interaction. Those are the 3 bullet points on that first question. What I found is that it also creates engagement beyond what I've been used to, because first of all, it's a check-in. As I said, when I do my speeches, I give 40 questions. So it takes about 10 minutes. That means that you take 10 minutes to let go of all the office stuff that you have to think about, and you buy into what we're going to talk about today.
So do you ask all the questions at the very first?
At the very beginning, yes, I do, because it's a 10-minute process. I do live questions as well. But I'm going to talk a little bit more about that, but that's a good question. Yes, I do that beforehand. I also...
Do you do anything to warm up the audience before you...
Yeah, I give my opening remarks. I'm like, hey, I tried to showcase that. Hi, my name is John. I'm a behavioral scientist. I help teams, blah, 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 blah. And then I sort of go a little too far, Swedish style, about myself, and I go, but I'm not the kind of speaker that's here to talk about myself. I'm here to talk about you. So, let down your shoulders, give me your ideas. I create a buy-in. They feel that, oh, okay, I want to know what he's saying about this, and that's also anticipation. I think leaders should be assertive. Now I'm going to see what he has to say about that, and I want to see what my colleagues think. Right? I have discovered the immense power of visualization. As I can hear you, I don't know if you noticed, but when I showed you the distribution on the sliders, almost all of you went, ah. And that's a reaction that I usually get. Because all of a sudden, you see that, oh, not everybody's like me, or you can see, oh, there are people like me. This diversity on an attitude, knowledge, feeling level creates space for me to be more of me and to forces me to accept that others are unlike me because the stats say I have to. Otherwise, we can walk around our lives going, everybody agrees with me. I know what's best for the company, and everybody's on talking terms with me. Because usually it's a loud guy, usually it's a guy, not always, that sort of sets the tone on the company meetings, right? So it's perfectly fine that people think this. It's just a way of showing it. It's a great way of, yes, short questions.
Short question. So people that take this get a report back saying, hey, this is what you said, but is this anonymous information?
Yes, absolutely. In my contracts, I don't know if that's the term that you use here in England, or you say, sorry, in English, like when I sign the deals with it, I actually have a passage saying that if the client asks me for any particular individual's opinion on something, I have the right to immediately just stop working with them and invoice the full work. It still hasn't happened, so I'm just, and I'm praying for it. I mean, no, I'm just kidding.
But it's anonymous so that they
It is anonymous.
are comfortable giving their information.
It is, yes. You log on, yes. There are different ways of doing this. Whether it's anonymous or not is one of the talking points, yes. Let's remember that question. Thank you. Now, interactivity, again, then from a speaker's perspective, because that was pretty much the audience and the client perspective. Are you guys comfortable with letting the audience shaping your speech? Many of you are, but plenty of you feel, no, I run the show. And then perhaps this might not be for you, which is totally fine. I have no objections to that. But if you ask the audience about helping you co-create content and you don't pay attention, that won't work. If you're not fine with writing scripts or writing content to cover multiple scenarios, this is not for you either, because it requires you to think on your feet. Let me give you an example. I have a question on productivity, the first one, where we said, do you perform better under pressure or when you're feeling well? I have a wonderful story, a personal story on how I almost was burnt out. And I wish that I had colleagues that could help me stop. Now, if the audience all knows that we perform better at peace, I can't do that story, because everybody would be in agreement. So I just have to skip that story and go to something else. And that requires multiple script writing. It means that you have to be comfortable improvising. And I can tell that you do. Most of you, that's good. So in brief, when it comes to the scenarios, multiple scenarios, do identify key questions. Make sure that you identify the questions that you know will shape your talk the most. For my part, business matrix, do you feel that you know the platform skills or the business side and the tech side? Those were my key questions today. I hope they were right. Content to cover scenarios, I talked about that. Improv, though, prepare your fun. Teams should perform better when a few people run the meeting or everybody takes part in running the meeting. Okay, that's a slider that I do. Let's say 20% feel that it should be run by one or a few people. I go, the boss should be more decisive in the meetings. Yes, he should, 2 people think. One guy out here, 15%, says, I think we should all partake more. And then 30% in the middle goes, yeah, you're right, and you are too, so let's bring this together. That would be a prepared improv skit. Now, it does require comic talent, which I don't have, but you know, you can work on it. And I talked about this a little bit earlier as well. There's no hiding when you go interactive. If I don't know my stuff, if I'm not prepared to handle what the audience comes up with, this is not for me. Because I claim that this is a higher level of trust that we're asking for. This is my opinion. As speakers, we always ask for trust when we enter the platform, right? But by asking questions, what you feel, what you think, what your thoughts are, I deepen that commitment. And I need to nurture it. I need to be, as I said, if even 2% say that they don't enjoy their work, I need to address that from an ethical standpoint. There's no hiding. And there's no hiding for your clients. So if you want to go interactive and you want to do the hard stuff, hard question, the tough questions, you need to be sure that your client is ready to address that as well. If they want this for smokes and screens and bells and whistles, we want to do some interactive stuff because that sounds fun. Go ahead, but don't pretend it's important. Do it for fun. We're going to try to mix up the fruit bowl. Do you like bananas? Oh, look, there's live bars, you know. See what I'm saying? We ask for trust. I think we should nurture it. This is my opinion more than everything's my opinion, but I can back other things up better than that. That's more emotional. So here we go, tech. These are your answers again. I'll just make sure that we remember. Let's not get carried away by the fact that we can use tech to do this. Start with why. Why would you want to do it, and what would you want to do? I start with that on tech because it's so easy to get platform focused. There are hundreds of platforms. I use one. I use it because it suits my needs. You need to think about what you want to do and what your needs are so you can choose a platform that suits your needs. Okay? They all are online. They are all web-based. This is a web browser window. Okay? That's full screen. But I thought perhaps the easiest way of showing how the tech works would be to show you guys how we build questions. So let's co-create that. This is a totally blank screen, as you can see. And in your phones, you don't need to look now, but there's nothing in it. This is the back side, the dark side of it all. This is the producer mode. This is where you build your questions. And see, here's empty, right? So let's open that one.
So Happy Bear's not yours, that's something.
No, this is, I buy this by a third party, from a third party consultancy, yes. And I have no business ties to them. This is important, of course, that I don't make any money from working with them. I don't know why that didn't work for now.
They should be your sponsor then.
Here we go. So here it is. Give me a question.
What is the average age in the room?
Oh.
A guy asked that.
Communication in our organization could improve.
Communication in our organization could improve. Is that okay, Dr. Mollinger, that we do that instead? Thank you. And this is, everybody loves writing in front of everybody else watching, right?
Yeah.
Communication could improve. Okay?
Take the seat out.
It's Swedish. It's a Swedish song.
It's a Swedish. Okay, good. So, what method should we use? Should we do options? Perhaps that's easier. Options is just the buttons. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. So, which options should we have? First option should be what?
Yes. Strongly agreed.
Yeah.
Agree. Okay. What button should it be? What color should it be? This is important stuff.
Green.
Green. Okay. And perhaps you see what I'm doing, so I'm going to go ahead and be quick about it and say no. What color is that?
Red.
Red. Here we go. It's pink. See? Okay. Now I can choose if you guys should be able to change your answers or no by adding this, but we're going to go with no now because that's a little easier. I know that this is fast. Okay? Still. Now, how do we want this result to be displayed? See, it says screen right here. Sorry, I was a little quick. I've never done. I'm a behavioral scientist. I don't teach tech. So I'm participant. That's the phone. That's the participant view. Okay. Sorry, I should have said that earlier. And then screen is like right up here. Okay. So what's a good result type for a question with two answers? Bar chart. Oh, there you go. That's the preset. Good. Do we feel that we need those results to be in any other colors? Are we good with blue and red? Okay. So then we save it. Then on another computer that you don't see, I click reload all. And I can show you that now that it's done. This is my control panel view. I went to there and I click reload all. Okay? This means that your phones should be updated with a question and the screen. So if you please humor me in answering this, you can see the bar charts coming up, right? The answers. Okay? And they change as people vote. This is the easiest way for me to show you guys how this is run. This is different from platform to platform. As you can see, there are multiple options on this. Okay? You can choose colors on the bars, you can design the results, you can do whatever you want. And this is for you to kind of test and try out and see what suits you better. Okay? Was that pretty clear? Okay, good. And then go back to where we're at. Okay. there are different ways of, and this is a little techy, but I'll try to be as clear as I can. There are two control modes, meaning that by the control panel that I showed you, that's where I can control everybody's phones and the screen at the same time. Now, but so that's what happened when we built the question, you answered it, and I click next, and we see the result. But what you guys also did is that you had a couple of set of questions that you answered on your own, and then you were done. First one is called live, the other one is audience pace. This is just food for thought. If you want to do this, do you want all questions to be live, or do you want the audience to answer questions first and then show the results? Yes, please.
Is this something where ahead of time it could be sent to the attendees and they answer that and you have that in preparation for you to then later show?
It could be, but tough question. What is the number of people that answered surveys beforehand?
Oh, right, yeah, pretty
Pretty low?
Yes.
I talked to a lady who does this here at Influence. She sends out surveys. I said, oh, cool, how many answered before? She said, well, the good company is about 30%, which is fine. I mean, that's if there are plenty of them, that's pretty much representative, but if it's not. That's one thing. The other thing is you don't get the check-in, you don't get the buy-in, you don't get the real-time feeling, and you know that I'm prepared.
So this is a thought borrowed from comedy improv. What about yes and? What about yes, you get that 30%, and then you do it live? I think that would give you probably a pretty interesting thing to integrate.
And then 30% has already done it when they arrive and have to wait for the other 70% when they pick up their phone. I get your idea, yes.
That is just a thought.
Thank you, and the reason that I answer the way I do is that I have thought about that myself. I have chosen not to on account of that reason.
In America especially, do you find that people are reluctant to answer because they're fearful somehow they're going to figure out who said that? Because I have that some when I do, no matter how much anonymity I try to offer, I'm not putting that down. I'm not writing it down.
Yep.
Do you find that in America many places?
I have to be perfectly honest. I did my first American gig Tuesday.
Okay.
This is my second speaking engagement in US ever, and then I'm doing the next one on Wednesday before I fly home. Woo! So ask me again Thursday, I will have 2 teams. No, actually they talked about it. They said perhaps that results were a little skewed. I don't mind, because your skewed results are what shapes your interaction.
Okay.
See what I'm saying?
Yep.
If you adjust your attitudes in your interaction, well, that's exactly what you're doing here. So you're getting a reflection of the attitudes on the subjects.
Okay.
As a social scientist, that's stuff that I can do. If you go to natural sciences, not so much. But let's not talk about it. That was a bit of irony. As I said, I don't have the comic skills. You need to think about whether you want to go web-based or app-based. How many of you downloaded the app today? Wow, there's an app? Yes, there is. You could have done this in an app. How would I have gotten that message across to you? How many of you would have done it? See, that's one case for web-based. However, I know at least one guy in this audience today that has an issue with his submit button. That's my buddy, Rob, because I tried this on him earlier. We do not, in a web-based system, I do not control every version of smartphones and every web browser version there is. Meaning that there can be issues for some participants at some times with that. So what I do when I do workshops, I send out an email to the team that I'm seeing. I'm saying we'll be using digitally interactive tools because I want to know what you think. Please download the app. It will make for a better experience for you, and people do that. But like in a keynote on this, or this stage, this wouldn't work. So figure out for yourselves what do you need if you want to go interactive. What do you do? Do you do it web-based and take your chances with that? It's not 100% for everybody. Or do you try to get everybody to download the app, come to the place, and maybe haven't downloaded it? Pros and cons. I'm not going to be that heavily opinionated on this because this is totally up to
Well, a
you.
lot of times when I'm in places like this, the Wi-Fi gets pretty iffy.
Right.
I mean,
Oh, yeah, we're almost there. Wi-Fi is a talking point. So we can access those tools two ways. Either by entering in a web address like we did with mine, happybear.se/NSA18, that I go to my control panel on my web page, set up a short link, that's a redirect to where you're at. Because if you watch the web address that you're on right now, it's live.twebcast.com/participant/NSA18. Now you don't put that on a screen because you wouldn't be done typing it in yet, so that takes time. There's another way of doing it that most of providers have. They have a short link. In this case, it's twebcast.com, and then they have a code, NSA18. Sometimes it's generic, sometimes it's provided by me, or in my case, me. Think about that as well. Is your audience tech savvy or no? These problems go away with app-based stuff, but then again, good people download the app. Customization, do you need white label or private label? Meaning everything that you see today is white labeled? My platform is white labeled, that means that I can design it the way I want it. Private label, it's their product. Their product, free sometimes, or at least very cheap. May not allow you to download data sets though. White label, a little more expensive, fancy, super advanced stuff, more expensive. It's like with cars or whatever. You sort of get what you pay for. And then there is the issue of Wi-Fi. As you can tell, I provided my own Wi-Fi today. This means that I have an internet hardwire right here, which is the green thing. That's provided by the good people of PSAV. I have two internet modems, a black one and a white one, and I'm a behavioral scientist, so that's pretty much all I know. But they work. No, I know I have super advanced instructions on how to change them, whether the IP address is dynamic or static. Tell me when you're bored mindless. Yes, go ahead.
John,
Yes.
do we need to do that stuff?
Huh?
Do we need to plug in and do all those wires and all that stuff that you're holding in your hands right now? Make this work?
There are other ways of doing it, but I will show you again just a little.
Intimidated.
Don't be, you're a superstar. I've seen you do post-its. This is the same thing. And this is an access point. So this helps provide the Wi-Fi. Now what this modem does is that it kills any restrictions on the Wi-Fi. That's why I bring it. Now, on a more serious note, if you wanna make a living doing interactive stuff, you need to kind of make sure that the internet thing works. Because if you show up and it doesn't, it's on you. Doesn't matter what you signed in your contract, doesn't matter what the providers told you, you are on the line. That is why I do it. It looks harder than it is. I am perfectly sure that if I can do it, hardware is not my thing. I can set up a global Zoom on how to link up. No, seriously, it's not that hard. It looks a little, and there's nothing going on after this session, so if you guys want to come up ahead and look at the stuff, that's perfectly fine. Again, it's a white and black thing. But, seriously, on that note, this is a very important issue, of course. Yes, please.
Do they, I'm sure it varies from place to place, but do they charge you an obnoxious sum to have a hardwired line into the room?
Federico, are you still in the room? Anyone from PSAV? Yes, they do.
Okay, then we're free to disclose.
They have been phenomenal, seriously. Yes, they have been. Their business is providing Wi-Fi, that's what they do. I understand that they run a business. I think that this is about to change because Wi-Fi will be an integral part of every event from now, so they cannot charge that much. It is a fair point that you need to make sure that your client is fine with paying the extra fee. Now, the gig that I did in Sacramento on Tuesday, they promised me good Wi-Fi. I could not use a hardwire. That meant that we all sort of, after a while, switched from the Wi-Fi to the 3 or 4G network, which also works. But if you want to live stream a video, it might get slow. So you can wing it once you learn it, but yes, I do believe that this will change because technological advancements are going exponential, right? This won't be an issue in 3 years, I guess. And again, with the handling and all that stuff. Yes, please?
I speak to a lot of youth groups, a lot of schools,
Mhm.
and they'll often have iPads or some other similar device that
Yep.
they're allowed to access the school network with.
Yep.
Do you have any experience with that? And
It usually works fine with, like,
they would love this.
right, yes, they do.
We already do
Uh-huh.
like a little
Yep.
interactive thing, and they
Yep.
can't get enough of it.
Right. No, this is true. It usually works when you're already logged on to a private network. The issue is yours, because I run my stuff on
Oh, got
Wi-Fi
it.
as well.
Okay.
I can run it on hardline, of course, but that means that their IT has to let you in within their blah.
Uh-huh.
See?
Yep.
So this is like an issue, but don't make this the issue.
Right.
This is, you can work that out. It's 2018. Internet cannot be stopping us from being like more relevant speakers. Okay? Thank you, two people. Okay, so the growing your business part. These are your numbers on that. You feel that you have a pretty good idea on how this can impact your speaking business. Let's talk about it for a while, just from a standpoint of what I do. First of all, if you provide greater impact and higher value, you can charge higher fees. If you allow the comparison, I'm not a happy-go-lucky, I fell off my bike, but I learned how to ride the bike again, and you can ride the bike too, kind of speaker. I provide a value that sticks with data reports back and all that stuff. That means that if I find the right clients that are willing to do that, they're also willing to pay for it. I have add-on services. I am about to expand my 5-module system into a 7-module system, meaning that I will, apart from motivation, productivity, team development, creativity, and leadership, also add diversity and leadership. From now on, my clients will go, okay, we want 4 of those. Cool, let's do 4 of them. So that's a way that you can easily start doing that as well if you wish, now if you're starting off clean. But I'm giving you that as an idea of that it doesn't have to be, it can be flexible. The business model can be flexible, okay? Add-on services number 2, result analysis. I can, of course, deep dive into the results, provide an analysis going, your attitudes on leaderships need to change within the blah, blah, blah group, and the marketing team, who they do not agree with production, so you perhaps need to buy them lunch. Or smarter tips than that, but you get the idea. I can provide group results, as I was alluding to. I can give marketing results for marketing. I can give, management team results for them, so that they can sort of use that to improve their teamwork. And that also allows us to compare teams. I, of course, can also, or you can add series of speeches. You can do it once. You can add training, perhaps, do workshops, and then go back and do another speech, perhaps with similar questions. However, be mindful of that, of using the same questions. If I were to ask you, do you like apples? And you said, no, I don't. And I said, okay, so let's provide some training for you for 3 months. And then I'd ask you again, do you know that they're at least good for your health? You'd say, yeah, I do, because I've been told to think so. That, of course, is always the risk, as you were alluding to about before as well. Are the results real? Perhaps find other ways of measuring that impact. Okay? Provide training, provide workshops based on your results. And this is the coolest part. You can download the data. Every time I give a speech, I get the data from the participants, meaning that I have my own database to do my own research on, meaning I will become my own expert, meaning I can give out reports initially that are called 4 Common Misunderstandings at Work. Media. How about 5 minutes with a guy that's polled 2,000 people in the last 6 months on 4 common workplace mistakes? Yeah, let's do that. And that gives me about 15 different blog posts. It gives me results to sprinkle in social media. Once it's big enough, this database, of course, also is an asset, of which I know nothing how to do. But I've been told. So what's the action plan? As breakout presenters, we're asked to give you guys 30, 60, 90 days action plans. So, keeping it simple. In 30 days, play around and try it. Google, search for interactive tools. There's the one that I have is called Webcast. They have a registering system that's a little, so you email them and they'll call back. There are others that are much more easy, plug and play, sort of just try it and use it. Get familiar to it. Think about, if I did it, what value would I want to bring to my clients with it? Test it, try it, see it if you like it. If you decide, no, this is not for me for a bunch of reasons, fine, that's totally okay, of course. In 60 days. Yes, go ahead.
Which platforms are the market leaders?
Good question. I do only know those stats for the Swedish market. Actually. Which, of course, I realize is something that I should have been able to answer, but I'm not. Thank you very much. Moving on. Google it yourself!
It might be a question to ask the room, actually.
Oh, yeah. Does anybody else know? Perhaps Brian Walter has an opinion. I know he uses something like this as well, the president. Go up to him and ask what platform he uses tonight. He'll love it.
He uses what?
Turning points.
Kahoot and Turning Points and several. Okay, I think he uses several. There's a Swedish, easiest way, again, there are a bunch of them. I mean, I could list it, but I don't think that would help you.
What do you actually Google? What do you call them?
I would say interactive tool, interactive event tools,
Audience interaction.
Audience response.
Audience response tools. Well done there. Thank you, sir. Now, and you're members of NSA, which is a fantastic organization, and you have member chapters. Why don't you, 60 days from now, those of you that want to, just, gather 15 people, say, okay, I'll try this tool, do something for 15 minutes. If it fails, who cares? Because everybody knows it's just a test run. Try it on each other. Talk about different tech. I tried this platform, it was great. I tried this, it was horrible. Oh, the Wi-Fi is crappy. Then what do? And so on. I mean, I would certainly use my NSA chapter to do that for a speaker lab or whatever. A peer open rehearsal. What I'm saying is you need to test it. Because you don't want to test it live the first time in front of the real thing. Because you'll be... I've made horrible mistakes. We'll see if there's time on that for the Q&A. Just a quick, Rob, I'll let you answer any seconds. And then in 90 days, decide why you want to do it, or if you want to do it, and then why. And then go. And try it. I will be happy to set up like a Zoom thing within NSA stuff to help you guys within a couple of months as well, if any one of you jumps on board, just to give, because I firmly believe in this. I hope you notice that. I truly believe that this is about, truly increasing impact and making speeches about the audience and not about the speaker. Okay? So those were that's 1 hour. When did we start? 2:30, so that's 55 minutes. We have 15 minutes for Q&A. Well done, me. Okay. I'll be doing some closing remarks as well, of course. This is something that I'm not used to anymore. I usually do the Q&As interactive. But I wasn't sure that we'd have the time. I'd rather say I was pretty much convinced that we wouldn't have. Okay. So you guys help me with this. I think Rob, then you, and then you.
For a certain amount of money, I'll give you my spot. The question. So
You raised
have
your
you ever
hand first.
tried where you come up with the questions collaboratively with the organization you're going to be speaking to?
Yes, that would be the workshop part of it.
Repeat the question for the
Oh, sorry, yes, good point. Do I customize questions with clients? Yes, for the workshop and training sessions, that's all I do. I'm like, okay, so you guys want to work on communication, then what are your issues? Preferably I talk to the participants as well.
This is my quick follow-up question. So in that conversation, in which you're sort of collaborating on what things they want you to poll their people around, have you had experiences where you've uncovered some point of real, paramount importance to them?
Have I helped clients uncover paramount points of what they need to do? And that, yes. A lot of the time. And then sometimes the question becomes, wow, okay, so how do we address this? And if I'm still suitable for it, I'll do it. If it requires, for instance, like we discovered like there's a huge conflict, I would say I know great psychologists that do team conflict solvation. Okay.
So technical / practicality question. Does the platform use free-form answers as opposed
Oh, yes.
to? Okay, and then have you used free-form answers and
Yes.
what kind of context have you used them in and how they
I
work?
usually do that. This will be, thank you. Do I use free-form questions, open-ended questions, right? And
And they
if so,
fill in words.
when? Yes, I do. Workshops, very much, where teams can form around, like we pre-decide who's on which team, and they can see each other's answers in the phone and prioritize them and work with just the team designation. I do it for Q&A, and there's a vote-up system in the system that I do, which means that you all could have entered questions during my talk and then, looking at it as if it was a Twitter feed and go, oh, that's a good question, give it a star, pops up to the top list, and then when there's time for Q&A, I go, okay, so this is the most interesting question then, and then I go on. Also for self-reflection, what have you learned? Anonymously, and then we can put a few of the results up on the board.
And do you decide which results you push up or?
Yeah. Thank you.
So I have a question about forming the questions and your social psychologist hat. So what do you do about skewed self-perception? So let's say you had a slider that said, I'm a great leader, I'm not a great leader, and they answer, I'm a great leader, but their people don't think they're a great leader.
Right.
So you could look at that and go, well, everybody thinks they're a great leader, we don't need to talk
I
about
don't,
that.
this is true. How do I handle skewed self-assessment questions? I don't do self-assessment questions. No, what's your attitude on? Do I think, do I feel, am I ready? But again, yes, you have a valid point. However, I would claim that also impacts their interaction, right? Within the team that they have later on. So no matter if they're right or wrong, if they think they're great leaders and I tell them the stats prove otherwise, then they're in for a wake-up call. So that's pretty much, I can use this, as I said, to myth bust. But I do not ask the question, do you think that you are good at?
Well, I think there could be a value in saying, do you think you're good at, and the next one, do you think your manager is a good leader?
I do
Put
that,
those next to each
right,
other there.
I do that sometimes, and I usually then do it this way. I say, are you good at following the code of conduct, for instance? Yes, I am. On a scale from 1 to 10. And then, are your colleagues good at that? And then we usually get the famous social psychology self-assessment bias that I am better at doing it than my colleagues. And then I go, okay, so you think you're better than your colleagues. Talk about that for a while and I'll see you. Okay, yes.
So I'm curious if you've done it this way. I'm sure you have, but in live streaming this and or as a webinar, which I guess would be live streaming to get real-time results. That's first part of the question. And then the other part is, as a follow-up to when you've done it live, know that 30 days or 60 days later you're going to meet with that audience live stream and then see where the results are now with whatever you might have had call to action for them to implement with their team or from your training.
Could it be done live streaming was question number 1, and then second, do I do follow-ups? Is that a decent? Yeah. Live streaming could of course be done. Thank you so much. Live streaming could of course be done either by just filming this, making sure that the projector that we have is high lumen, really bright, so it can be. It Could be Zoom, yeah, and I can share my screen, exactly. So there are plenty of ways of doing it live. I've never done that so far, but I would love to try it. More tech, yay. And then the second question was, do I do follow-ups? Yes, I think that's something that I do. Yeah, exactly. Once you get people to buy in, I don't know how you guys feel, but this is my experience, that once you get people to buy in into working with your phones as an asset of communication with workshop leaders and other team members, employees, and whatever, that's what you want to do. If the workshop or session was worth your while, if you liked it. Okay? And in this case, if you feel that, yes, I provided value, then I'm ready to do it. If I do this again as smoke and mirrors or bells and whistles to create engagement or do fun stuff, then you'd probably, I don't care, this is futile. He's going to ask me 15 questions, he's not going to care about it, and they are pointless. Okay, so that world's longest answer to a short question. Thank you. Yes?
What difference have you seen in polling beginning of the speech, or I currently don't do my interaction until the end, so this is kind of a new concept for me. Have you seen a difference in when you offer the interaction? I know it helps you shape your speech, however, it can also be like a good closer too.
That's right. What are my experiences on asking questions beforehand and after or during? Beforehand, 100% of all participants answer the questions. The second time I try to do live interaction, 95. And then it drops off. And that's not because it is irrelevant, it's because they figure the system out. They go, okay, pretty much see where he's going with this. But I do that for the 80% that's still engaged in it. The 20%, and you probably know this as speakers as well, there's like a percentage of your audience that you will probably never reach with your message anyway. Somewhere around 10% or so. That goes, you're wrong. The amygdala goes, no, I'm not going to pay attention to this message because it's too much to take in. So that would be that. Live interaction, I claim, is a good way of what I tried to do today was that I gave you the demo, and then I said, okay, new segment, new questions. Now about you, new questions. So when I give my full keynote, I do all of the questions, and then when I've done my session on motivation, I say, first of all, they get to reflect. Again, on the question on open-ended questions, they get to reflect. What did you learn? Any thoughts, ideas, calls to action that you picked up that you want? That gets sent back to them via the email. So that closes the book on motivation for them. And then I say, okay, so let's do some stuff on productivity then. Pick up your phones, answer these 3 questions. They go, okay, productivity, yeah, okay, this is, and then I create engagement for the next 16-minute or so session. Yes?
Well, just one more thing. So I speak about suicide and ways that we can keep each other safe. Do you think this would be a good tool to ask questions that would then allow anonymity? I could see the audience ask a question and I could answer it without somebody raising their hand.
Yes. She speaks about suicide. Would this be a good way of letting the audience ask questions without I know, thanks. It's a Swedish word as well, but just shorter. Yes, I think it would be a fantastic way.
So the participants won't be able to see that.
And there are so many ways that you can help the audience again see what other people are going through. So it's not just the one question that you choose to show. No. It's if you were to open like the floor for questioning in this, and then I would love to show you there's a result style which lets all the answers pop up as post-its. And then that post-it slides up to the front and gets bigger for like 5 seconds and then it disappears. Imagine that, sitting in the audience and going, oh, okay, somebody shared that experience. Problem is it's not moderated. And if you do it for kids, the content could be, well, not suicide related, so to speak. But yes, I think it would be perfectly. Yes, ma'am.
So T-Webcast, is it a subscription or a license?
They do a free version, like at first. I buy I guess that's a subscription for 3 months. That allows me to do as many events as I want to, but no more than 200 participants per event. Thank you. That also allows me to do, I'm showing you this, like each one of these influence, Epiroc, and that one, those are called courses. You're allowed to have 3 active courses at the same time. These can be copied. Like, so you can, if I were to give this tomorrow somewhere else, I can just copy this course and say, okay, so here's a new event. Boom.
So,
And the code, as you can see here, that's NSA 18. Can you see that it's really small? There it is, a generic code. ON and blah, blah. And that's then where people log on.
so can I pay more to have it be more than 300?
Yes.
Okay.
That's like the subscription model. They will probably, without any problem, I mean, this is what suits me better.
Right. Got it.
Because I usually do. I mean, they've done Spotify's HR event in Stockholm
Okay.
with over 2,000 participants distributed all over Stockholm. So they have the power and the resources. It's just quite a question of, I've never gotten the asked question to do the Spotify HR event.
One more. Have you ever been asked to integrate with the mobile app for the conference?
Have I been asked to integrate with the mobile app for the conference? I don't see that would be an issue. They have open APIs, as I hear they call it, the tech guys and ladies, which means that they can do stuff that makes it work. In this app, I presume it would be actually a link. It could be provided just a web link that would open the web browser window with the correct address of the. Yes, sir.
Yeah, you talked about doing research, and I noticed here you're able to keep only 3 active ones. Are you able to keep cumulative data? Say if you had the same 4 questions in each of the programs, you're getting cumulative data on that. Does it store that, or do you have to store that separately?
So let me show you that real quick, how that works. See, the pink questions, the pink ones are questions, the gray ones or the white ones are slides, and the purple ones are result modules.
Okay.
This is said to, let's see if I remember where this is, screen settings, somewhere in here I can, sorry, I'm not going to waste your time, but what I'm trying to say is that I can set the result module to gather data from the course, like the course level, which would be everything, or the event level, which would be this.
Okay.
When you download the data set, it's an Excel
So
spreadsheet, right? But I guess, no, you'd have to download one Excel sheet and then merge them,
Okay.
because they have pretty much the same codes. I'm not an Excel expert either, but I'm pretty good at interaction. I think. That's right. Okay. Yes.
In terms of the email that goes out to participants afterwards, is that fully automated? Are you having to do any of that, or is that how is it filling in your email addresses? Because we weren't asked for our email addresses as part of our login.
When I give my full keynote speech, you log in with your email address. That's how audience is segmented as well. That's how you're grouped, meaning that I could be giving. The tech is there to provide. Let's say that you have 2,000 participants from 200 companies. Everybody that would use nsaspeaker.org as their email domain name, they would be grouped as one group and have a separate result.
Okay.
Then again, but then not on like marketing and such. So that's one thing. And then I had another thought, but I might.
Just a follow-up question then: Does the system also produce a report that can go straight to the client, to the booker?
Not automatically. No. What I do today is that I just do screenshots of it on my computer, compile them into a PDF, and send that.
Okay.
There are automated services for the slides, but then again, there might be a customized slide that you don't want, stuff like that. So I prefer to do it manually. Yeah. As for now, okay, we have 5 more minutes. Yes, ma'am.
So, when you are marketing yourself in your keynote, are you marketing the behavioral science of the result for the client, or you are highlighting the interactivity more?
This is a very good question, and this is something that I'm struggling with. The value proposition is sort of that it's cool and new, but the value from my standpoint is something different. So I'm still testing out what messages works better. I have a pitch problem. When people ask me, what do you talk about? I can say, I empower leaders and employees to form stronger relationships. And everybody goes, yeah, okay, so who doesn't? Then I have to go, but my how is unique. But if I start talking about it, so what do you talk about? I have a digitally interactive talk about motivation. Everybody's okay, so what's the content? So this is an issue. I'm sorry I could help you better on this.
But it's making all of us think.
I'm glad. It's making me think as well. Yes?
Just because you said you asked participants to log on with their email address and stuff, did you have any experience with the new European data protection regulations concerning
GDPR? He's asking about the GDPR, which covers European Data Protection Program. Yes, the platform that I use is fully customizable, which is why also I chose to do this anonymously today, because otherwise the start would be, do you agree to blah, 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 which of course will be something that we will get used to in Europe. I mean, it won't be an issue. They've done it real smoothly, so you get 2 pop-up screens on your phone, and you have to actively click, yes I do, and then then you're done. I've found a way of trying to keep in touch with you guys that's a little so you'll be using open-ended questions soon to give me your email addresses should you wish to stay in touch. Let's see, I don't know if that's up in your phone right now. No, it will be. There it is. So in your phones you have a free form, right? Or you can write anything. Feedback is also something that I hear you should appreciate. I'm just kidding. Write whatever you wish. Yes, please.
What are your closing remarks?
Today? Thank you. I would say that to me this is about truly making a speech about the audience and not about the speaker. And I believe that, this is just my belief, I believe we have an obligation to get to know our audience now that we can. I think that in a few years' time, it will be considered rude not to ask the audience what their position is on one or two important questions. And I believe that it just makes for so much more, a greater impact, greater value, and a lot more fun, and a bigger business. So I guess that would be my closing remarks.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.